Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Companies to watch.
All right, time to take a look at some companies making the radar these days. And, of course, today we welcome back Dreamliner Dan.
Oh. Don't know if I want to be associated with that for now. But yes, welcome to Companies to Watch. That's a segment where we spotlight and stock you up with ideas of listed companies that will call for your attention. So we're looking at market trends to risk as well as hidden gems or warning signs to steer clear of. 88550893. Join us in this conversation and text us whether you think it's going to be a hot or not. Okay, Ryan, you ready for this episode?
Let's go.
Okay, the first company for this week that we're turning to is an American multinational corporation that designs, manufactures, and sells airplanes, rotorcraft, rockets, satellites, and missiles worldwide. They also provide leasing and product support services. And yes, if you've been following the news, I'm talking about Boeing and the tragic Air India plane crash near the Indian city of Ahmed that happened on Thursday that has thrown Boeing back into the spotlight with more than 200 people dead and investors reacting sharply. First things first, how did you react to news of that, Ryan?
Yeah, a very tragic incident. Kind of gave it away, calling you Dreamliner Dan.
Yes, you
did. Of course, this involves the 7878 Dreamliner. Again, Boeing in the news for the wrong reasons. So a lot of scrutiny now on the company, a lot of speculation, a lot of finger pointing. Some reports suggest that, like before previous incidents, there has been some cost cutting being done. That's why there have been some quality compromises. But again, early stages of investigations, we don't know the exact details yet.
That's right. So far, what we're going to investigate is based on what the news has reported so far. And as of last Thursday, in fact, the price was down about 6% in pre-market trading. So it shows basically how investors are reacting quite sharply to news of that crash, while GE Aerospace, which likely powered the aircraft, saw its share price down by more than 2.6%. But year-to-date wise, Ryan, Boeing is currently up still 16% at $200.32. So the aircraft, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, like what you've mentioned earlier, was en route to London when it crashed shortly after takeoff, carrying about 242 passengers and crew. In fact, the aircraft struck a residential area near the BJ Medical College, including a hostel for intern doctors, causing additional casualties on the ground. So all but one of the 242 people aboard the Air India Flight 171 were killed when the more than 11-year-old Boeing Dreamliner was headed for London and, yes, crashed into the medical student dining hall just seconds after takeoff. So it's quite unfortunate, and the sole survivor was an Indian-born British national seated in 11A. I think there was this controversy about how the 11A is a seat that was also taken up by this other guy that survived a crash like many years ago. Did you see the news?
Yeah, I saw this Thai actor.
It was a Thai, actor.
Very strange coincidence. He was also in 11A and he also survived alongside a few others. So maybe it's just a coincidence. But yeah, this time around, he was the only survivor, 11A.
Yeah, unfortunately. So this is the first fatal crash involving the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, a twin-aisle wide-body jet that entered service back in 2011. And it's considered to be one of the company's best-selling wide-body jets and has been delivered to nearly 1,200 customers since its debut. And despite its commercial success, though, the Dreamliner has faced several production hurdles. In fact, earlier on, it grappled with supply chain disruptions and a series of battery fires that led global aviation regulators to temporarily ground the fleet back in 2013. More recently, Boeing was forced to halt deliveries for the aircraft for nearly 2 years due to quality control concerns. But then again, if we look at the track record, the aircraft has had a solid safety record over the years. And Thursday's crash not only shatters that record, but could also hinder Boeing's efforts to rebuild trust after years of setbacks that are tied to its troubled 737 MAX program. And I think for the past couple of at least 3 to 4 years, we've been seeing quite a number of these incidents happening a little bit more often than not, don't you think?
Yeah. So talking about the timing, you mentioned the 737 MAX incident. Of course, Boeing trying to turn things around. And they've also had their CEO, Kelly Ortberg, saying that the company's on a fragile path to recovery and can't afford another mistake. So you can imagine shareholders or investors selling first and asking questions later.
Yeah, exactly. So according to analysts, this seems like a knee-jerk reaction and also revives fears about the long-running issues that Boeing has faced with both production as well as aircraft safety. So the timing of the crash is particularly damaging for Boeing because it comes ahead of the Paris Air Show, an event typically marked by large commercial jet orders. So based on this event, it happens every summer where titans of the aerospace head to Europe to showcase their products, touting big investments and saluting their industry, alternating each year between the outskirts of London and Paris. The air show is part of celebration and part exposition. So Boeing was expected to attend the show with its new well-regarded CEO as the public face of the company's recovery, but instead, this time around, it seems like Boeing might keep a low profile as it continues to navigate the turmoil with one of its planes at the center. So, despite the crash and other external concerns, Boeing and Airbus are expected to lock in hundreds of airplanes orders. In fact, they've also said that the world would need more than 43,000 commercial airplanes over the next 2 decades, with emerging markets driving growth for much of its sales as well. So it does seem like, based on its outlook in the long run, Boeing does have quite a good horizon ahead of them, considering how the world would eventually require more commercial airplanes. But let's not forget how the crash does evoke memories of Boeing's most painful period, the grounding of the 737 MAX back in 2019, Lion Air Flight 610 back in 2018, the Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 back in 2019 that claimed more than 300 lives collectively. So all of it put together, I think I'm still going to go with a nod for Boeing.
Yeah, so just looking at the responses from the authorities, the plane has not been grounded yet. Otherwise, they have been looking at it more closely. I think for Air India, they've been re-looking the plane. So every time a Dreamliner needs to take off, they just make sure it is passing all tests, like double-checking everything. But otherwise, it seems like it's almost business as usual. Would you take a Dreamliner if you're going to be flying somewhere?
That scares me now, Ryan.
Would you not take it?
I don't know. I think as of now, I guess it's really entirely based on context, right? And the places you're at, how often they do their checks. And I guess, here in Singapore, they do their fair
So
amount
airline
of checks.
dependent, right?
Yeah, I suppose that would be the case, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be for me at least. But for now, it does really kill some confidence in taking a flight. Yeah.
A bit. I can imagine.
I tend to get the jitters whenever, there's like a turbulence and stuff like that. So that's, Okay. Anyways, that would pretty much wrap it for our Stock in Focus for today. Boeing. And according to TipRanks, Yahoo, and Barron's as of the 16th of June, they're all still giving it a buy rating. Now, some fun facts about Boeing, Ryan. They're the world's largest aerospace company by revenue. Did you know that? And apparently, the Everett factory is the largest building by volume. In fact, Boeing is also known to build satellites and even a light rail vehicle. So what do you call a flying cow?
A flying cow? A moo plane.
A high-stakes mission. Happy Monday, everybody. This is Boeing.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.